Spoiler alert! Someone described Bumblebee to me as 99% prequel, 1% not. I was like, what's the 1%? It's the scene where Optimus Prime and all the other guys come to Earth at the end. I was like, that doesn't contradict anything we've said before. Who's to say they haven't been around robots in disguise since then? That scene was always imagined, but in many different versions. We didn't do the scene until we shot the movie, because we felt the movie was going to dictate that scene a little bit. What happened is you got to see Hayley return to her family. Bumblebee needs to return to his family. Otherwise, what happened to poor Bumblebee? That was our thinking. Plus, Optimus said we are going to go to Earth, we're gonna regroup, and then we're gonna go back. In our minds, they went back. It has nothing to do with the other films, and was completely about the emotional journey of Bumblebee. Right. Those were the words of producer Lorenzo Di Bonaventura speaking to the Metro about Bumblebee the movie. And I think at this point, Lorenzo, it's time to stop. No more interviews, please. Just quit. And you're not even ahead at this point. Just stop. Please, stop. And the reason why I say this is because the boy Lorenzo keeps on putting his foot in it. He upset Transformers fans a little while ago with his initial interview with the Metro by saying it would be very difficult to create an Optimus Prime standalone movie because Optimus Prime is an Autobot of very few words. Bumblebee doesn't speak at all. And you made a movie about him. Yeah. So he said that. But now he's had a second interview with the Metro. And I don't have a clue what he's trying to say. Because in one instance he's saying that, you know, this is nothing more than a prequel because he questions the 1%. But then on the other hand, he's saying that, you know, the Autobots can come down to Earth, then they can go back, then they can come back down again. So it has nothing to do with the other films. Well, if it has nothing to do with any of the other films, then it's not a prequel, is it? So let's just think about this frustrating response, because what is Lorenzo Di Bonaventura trying to say? Well, I think he's trying to say that this movie is just a prequel. I think that. But he does say something that contradicts it. So he says, that doesn't contradict anything we have said before. Who's to say they haven't been around robots in disguise since then? So I gather that line means that the Transformers have been on Earth before the 1980s and they've been around all the way up to the 2007 Bay film. That would make it a prequel. But then he says, plus Optimus said we're going to Earth, we're gonna regroup and then we're gonna go back. In our minds, they went back out. It has nothing to do with the other films. And completely about the emotional journey of Bumblebee. So if it's a prequel, it would have something to do with the other movies, wouldn't it? And why did they just come down to then nip back? And if we actually think about this, how many times are they going to just pop over here and then go back to Cybertron? So they did it in wartime. B was here already. And then he decided to go back over to Cybertron. Then the War of Cybertron started. And in the 1980s, B decided he'd had enough of that. So he came back to Earth. Then at some point he thought, I better go back there, see how things are going. I'll take Optimus and the rest of the Autobots with me. And then in 2007, he thought he'd nip back again. What? What sort of ridiculous story is that? You know, so it is just incredible that a producer is coming out with this. And a question for you is, how are the Autobots coming and going so freely? In Transformers Dark of the Moon, Michael Bay sent the Autobots back up into space with a space shuttle. But now Lorenzo Di Bonaventura is saying they can just come and go whenever they like. Madness. I would also say that he talks about the scene that it was added as an additional scene to the movie after it was complete. Why? If this is a prequel, you should never have added that scene, because the movie has enough references in it for it to be clear to be a prequel, and it would have led on nicely to Michael Bay's 2007 film. Then it's done, then it's clear. But after the movie was shot, you decided to add this scene. We know why. Because you want it to be a soft reboot, but you only want it to be a soft reboot if it performs at the box office. So for all the fans out there that have given praise to Travis Knight, all the critics out there that have said that this is the perfect opportunity to go for a reboot, you're not embracing that feedback with open arms and looking forward to the future. You're still not doing that because you're waiting on the dollar. And I understand that a movie needs to make money, but as I've said before, Bumblebee the movie had a lot of work to do. It had a lot of course correction, and it did all that, and it could set up an MCU. And that's what I want to hear from Lorenzo Di Bonaventura. A look towards a live action universe from here. But he's refusing to say it. He'd much rather sit on the fence and contradict himself constantly to avoid that, because just in case Paramount and Hasbro say it didn't make enough money, let's pull the plug. Approach and have a vision, and we might actually get somewhere. So, what do you think about these comments made by Lorenzo Di Bonaventura when it comes to the future of Transformers and whether or not this was a prequel or a reboot? I want to get your views in the comment section below. I've already seen quite a lot of people talking about this on Twitter, and their response was much more explicit than mine. But I want to get your views because I feel like Lorenzo talks a lot, but he says nothing at all. And I'd much rather him keep quiet until he's got something positive to say about the franchise, rather than keep on diminishing what Travis Knight has done and the opportunity that we have on the table right now. We have an opportunity to move forward with the Transformers live action universe. You've given us that opportunity with the B movie, with that scene. Don't ruin it now. Get involved in the comments, and all that's left to be said is make sure you subscribe to the channel with the notification bell turned on so you stay up to date with all my Transformers content. And this is Delzinski signing out.